Okay, finding the x-intercepts in the vertex of a parabola. So last section we already talked about the vertex. So let's say our vertex is over there. So that's our vertex again. And where we hit the x-axis, those are the x-intercepts. Okay, so those are your x-intercepts where they hit the x-axis when your y value is 0. Okay, here's your x, here's your y. So it's possible a parabola could hit it twice. We will also see it's possible that a parabola will hit it once. So there's only one x-intercept there. Oh, I put it at the vertex too, so that's a vertex. So the vertex is the x, vertex is the x-intercept. So in this case, that is your x-intercept, and it's also your vertex. The third scenario, which I don't believe Alex gets into this year, it's a future course, is if it doesn't hit it at all. In the third scenario here, there is no x-intercepts. But what we're looking at today, problems, we'll see 2 answers and 1 answer. So example 1, given y equals negative x squared plus 2x plus 35. I jumped ahead a little bit, that's okay. Alright, so what we're going to do, sorry I jumped ahead a little bit, is if you have ax squared plus bx plus c for the vertex, the x is going to equal the opposite of b over 2a. And to find y, we would plug that value back in. So you plug this negative b over 2a, whatever value you get, back into the function. So that's how you find your vertex. Which is really nice to have this because if it's way off the screen of your calculator, this will help you know where it is. If it's a basic one that's on the screen of your calculator, there's ways you could use the calculator. But we're going to stick with this method. Okay, so now that we have all the information, let's try our first problem. Okay, so first, let's find our vertex. So remember, the A is -1, the B is 2, the C is 35. So we're going to go 2, so -2, negative B, the opposite of B, over 2 times -1. That's -2 over -2, which is 1. So our x value equals 1. To find the y value, we're going to plug the 1 in for x. Okay, be careful with this calculation here. Write it as you see it. You could do -1 squared without parentheses, but don't put the negative in the parentheses. So 1 squared is 1, -1 times 1 is -1, plus 2, plus 35. You can use your calculator for this. So 37 minus 1 is 36. So our vertex is 1, 36. Now our x-intercepts. We're going to set the function equal to 0. Now all of these will factor. So anything we see here will factor. Test question will factor. So we want to see you factor it for your work for the test, for your final exam. So typically I move everything over here to make the x squared positive. You could also take out a -1, but whatever method you use, you want to get that x squared positive. I would have added x squared, subtracted 2x, subtracted 35, put it all on this side, and we would have gotten the same thing. Okay. Alex takes out a -1, which works. It's probably quicker and easier. It doesn't really matter as long as you get this either way, you're good. Okay, now we don't care about the -1. All we're going to do is factor this. And these will work. So we have an x and an x. What multiplies out to -35? That adds up to -2. So we get a -7 and a +5. Set both of those equal to 0 and solve. So x equals 7, x equals -5. So those are the two x-intercepts. Number 2. So y equals x squared minus 2x minus 15. So we're going to find the vertex first and then the x-intercepts. If you want to pause it and try it, go ahead. I'm just going to move on. So x equals -b. So it's the opposite of -2. I shortcutted that last problem over 2 times. What's our a term? What's in front of the x squared? A 1. So we get a 2 over 2, and this one is 1. So our x value equals 1. Now we're going to plug that back into the original for the x's. So 1 squared is 1, minus 2 times 1, so minus 2 is -1, minus 15 is -16. So our vertex is 1, -16. And now we're going to set for our x-intercept. If you want to try it, go ahead, pause it. I'm about to move on. Okay, we're going to set that equal to 0. We already have a positive x squared, so we don't need to take out a negative. We can just factor here. So what multiplies out to -15? That adds up to -2. Okay, it's a -5 and a +3. So if you set both those equal to 0, you get x equals 5 and -3. Okay, so try this one. Y equals -x squared minus 4x minus 4. So you can pause this if you'd like and try it. I'm going to move on with the answer. So the vertex is x equals, the opposite of -4 is +4 over 2 times -1, which 4 divided by -2 is a -2. Then if we plug that in, we get -2 squared is 4. So then it gets a -4. Remember, this negative applies after. -4 times -2 is +8, and then a -4, and here we get 0. So our vertex is -2, 0. Now our x-intercept is 0 equals -x squared minus 4x minus 4. I'm going to take out the negative or move it to the other side. And now how do you break the -1? We don't care about. How do you break this down? What multiplies up to 4 that adds up to 4? Well, it's a +2 and a +2. So our x equals -2. You can shortcut this a little bit because when the vertex is on the x-axis, it should only give you one x-intercept, and this will be the same as this, but it's still good to to make sure of that and show it they'll work, but you could see a shortcut here. Okay. So that concludes finding a vertex and the x-intercepts.